Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
Well, hello, good evening and a warm welcome to Newsline Zoom. Zoom because we have concerns about the spreading of the pandemic CV-19, and we, like everybody else, is trying our best to reduce the risk of spreading the pandemic. Now, this evening, our guest is Dr. Kavinda Jayawardhana, Member of Parliament representing the SJB. Very good morning, very good evening to you, Dr. Kavinda.
Very good evening, Faraz. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. All the better for seeing you and having you on the program, of course. I trust that your new family are doing well and keeping out of harm's way with the COVID spread. In fact, how is the COVID spread in your area?
First and foremost, Faraz, thank you so much for having me in the program, and I hope that you have had both your vaccines. Actually, the situation here in Dampaha district, especially in my electorate, the situation is critical, and the hospitals have been full, and most of the patients are at home, and they are finding it difficult to get medical support. And of course, you know, the economical situation of most of the Sri Lankans is in a crisis, and people are finding it very difficult. So I think as a nation that we should get together and fight this virus. We shouldn't be divided. You know, we have been divided throughout the history, and we shouldn't be divided politically, ethnically. We must unite to fight this cause, because this is a cause that would make the future of this country. And currently, what we see, that people who we know is passing away, and few months ago that we got to hear someone was positive, someone was quarantined, but right now what's happening is something completely different. We are losing out people. So this is a very serious and a critical situation, and a pandemic that we have not experienced as such like this. So I personally think the government, the opposition, and all of us and the media, we have to get together and fight against coronavirus.
And are you personally, what sort of differences would you urge the government to undertake in this whole vaccination process, the acquisition of the vaccines and the implementation process? Do you agree that it's doing good? Do you also agree with the lockdown or this curfew situation? What are your thoughts on those matters?
No, for us, the most important thing is that vaccination is important. You know, vaccination would give us some sort of protection from this virus. But the most important thing is that while we are giving the vaccination, especially what kind of vaccine that we give is a concerning matter. Because I have the report by the Sri Lankan Medical Association. In that they say vaccination significantly reduce the severe disease and death caused by COVID-19 infection. Certainly vaccines such as Moderna, Pfizer-BioNTech and AstraZeneca evoke significant protection following a single dose of the vaccine, while single dose of Sinopharm provides no protection until 2 weeks after the second dose is given. So what's important is that especially people with comorbidities and people age 60 plus has to be given a vaccine which would react immediately, which would have an efficacy rate with at least more than 60 to 70%, at least after giving a single dose. So the issue is, what these specialists are saying is Sinopharm is a good vaccine. It gives you protection, but you have to give both the doses and wait for 2 weeks to have antibodies in your system. So that is an issue that what we have been facing. And other thing, a very important thing for us, that what we have noticed, especially I went to this website, you can double check this. This was a few days ago, probably a week ago, Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment. In that website, especially for the people who go to foreign countries, students and the workers, in that website it says this service is temporarily stopped. The same service will be open soon. So, I mean, this is an issue, because most of the European countries, they request either AstraZeneca, Moderna, or Pfizer. So, I mean, having these kind of technical issues are something that the government should look into. And the other thing is the lockdown. The reason why the health authorities have requested a lockdown is mainly because to reduce the spread. So I think it's important time to time to put down lockdowns, because even in Australia, New Zealand, and other countries, they practice this, because with this pandemic, we cannot just be have the same usual normal lifestyle that we used to have. So every time that we reach the threshold level of hospitals where all beds at more than 80% is occupied, ICU beds 95% occupied, definitely we will have to go for a lockdown, because the health workers are exhausted, right? And the other thing for us, what we have to understand is we have to understand the reality of the current situation in the country. One of the most important factors are the data. Still, this government have unable to provide statistics and data, which is which is organized way, because the health ministry is giving us different kind of information, and then the other authorities are giving another information. Even the government itself complaining that they are not getting proper data. While that is happening, Deputy Director General Health Services, he insists this is not a community transmission. So, I mean, this is a community spread. What is a community spread? Is in a situation where patients are detected with COVID-19 all around the country without an origin. That is a community spread. But the Dr. Hemanta Herat, he claims this is not a community spread. So I don't know why these officials are trying to, safeguard, and I don't know whom they are trying to safeguard, and why they are covering up, why they are providing false information to the country. You have to tell the truth to the people, so the people would know what is exactly happening. So people would, protect themselves. They will be careful. If you are going to tell them that everything is fine, people would just go back to their own lifestyle.
But Dr. Kavinda, whilst I hear what you say, what would the collateral purpose be? For what possible reason would Dr. Hemanta Herat and the others giving out information? Why would they not be giving out accurate information? After all, bear in mind that Sri Lanka, apart from Britain, I think produces the highest number of chartered accountants. So I think we can add up one or two,
Certainly, Faraz, this is what we have been saying. We have been constantly saying that it's important for us to have correct data, because we can manage this pandemic having correct data. So I hope that government would correct this misconception of giving. Definitely not. I mean, I'm not a specialist, Faraz, on vaccination, but most certainly what we do is we go through the reports which has been provided by the specialists. So according to these, I have even the WHO combined with the Sri Lankan specialists who have done the report on COVID, and in that also very specifically they say about the Sinopharm second dose and waiting for another 2 weeks for the antibodies to develop. So I mean, it's a good drug, it's a good vaccine according to most of the countries, especially in China. They have been using this. So there is no issue other than the time frame that it takes to develop the antibodies. But our concern is because the Sri Lankan government took such a long time for vaccination. You remember they had started with the Pania, and then they brought AstraZeneca to the country, 1.2 million. And then what they did was they administrated the first dose to almost 800,000 people, and over 600,000 people did not have the second dose for almost 6 months. So this is a serious issue. So I mean, drastically our numbers are increasing, and with the deaths, I think in the region we are number one. This is a shameful incident. I mean, every day morning when I wake up, I get very worried, because every day morning I get a call saying that someone who I know have passed away. Yesterday I got to know there was a girl that who we used to know, and one of our close supporter passed away. She was pregnant 9 months, and there is a huge issue with the drugs. You know, there's a lack of drugs, medicine. Almost 40 medicines are not available. I, in fact, tabled this in the parliament during my speech. And so, like, especially medicines like tocilizumab, which is used during a very critical time, a patient who is in the ICU for life-saving drug is not available in Sri Lanka. I mean, I have a friend of mine who's from Battala, one of my voters. He was going pillar to post to find this drug, and he WhatsApped me saying, please help me, you know, please help me. And his father passed away. So people who we know are dying of not having drugs. So this is a very pathetic and a sad situation where the government is denying all these things. You know, the medical field, doctors, you can ask and double check what I'm telling is correct or not. I don't understand why Channa Jayasumana denied this in the parliament. So this is a serious crisis for us.
But now that we appear now to have a Minister of Health, so do you think that this is a sign of the times, that the government themselves have recognized that there was a need to change the Minister of Health, and therefore they now have a new Minister of Health?
In Sinhalese they say "Inguru dila miris gatta wage." Now what has happened is the new minister has come. They have increased the price of very important, essential drugs, right? The people of this country are suffering. One side because of the COVID, other side economically. So while both are being affected for the people of this country, you are increasing the price of drugs is something that we cannot accept. You know, we urge the government to reverse this gazette and reduce the price, because most of these drugs are used for hypertension, diabetes, and cholesterol patients. So these patients, these are non-communicable diseases. These patients have been taking these drugs for years. They can't reduce the dosage. They can't reduce how many times a day that they take these drugs, right? So,
sorry, isn't the rise, the increase in prices, isn't that related to the price of the value of the dollar against the rupee now? Isn't that one of the repercussions?
For us, the most important thing is financial management, right? What, you know, if the government is able to put up a Lotus Tower, 560 million, right, and not make a penny out of it, right? And we are still paying that interest with loan, right? I mean, think about it. You know, we have this kind of infrastructure in this country, and people are dying without medicine, and they can't purchase medicine because of the price of the medicine, right? And you know, what they are trying to do is, I have a news article. They are trying to spend 2,000 million for development of certain cities, including Kurunegala, right? Is this the time to put money into this kind of infrastructure, right? This is not the time. So, you know, if the government should intervene, I don't know whether it is because of the dollar or whether it's because of any other reason. There is a government to manage all these things for us. So that's our concern.
On that note, let's go for a short break, have a peek at this evening's headlines for the primetime news. We'll see you on the other side of the break. And welcome back to Newsline Zoom. I'm in conversation with Dr. Kavinda Jayawardhana, Member of Parliament representing the Gampaha district from the SJB. Now then, Dr. Kavinda, does Sri Lanka, as a medical person, does Sri Lanka have or need more beds than the approximately 90,000 beds that we are supposed to be having around the country?
Faraz, I have the report was done by the WHO and the Sri Lankan specialist with me on the August 10th. I quote that report: bed occupancy rate at all levels of care facilities over 85% and ICUs over 90% have increased progressively and is now in fully capacity. So the issue is that this capacity has increased to the maximum. So I don't know how long that they could hold on to. And the other issue that what we are seeing is the patients depend on oxygen have significantly increased from 528 last week to 646 patients yesterday. So this is August 10th. So the issue is in Sri Lanka whether we have, I mean, we should be very grateful to the Indian government now that we have got liquid oxygen. But the issue is, do we have enough oxygen cylinders? That's number one. And most of the hospitals doesn't have centralized oxygen supply. So these are the concerns that we have. And I remember that some of the government politicians manufactured or built 10,000 beds, hospital beds. I don't know what happened to them. So, but as SJB, Honorable Sajid Premadasa, our leader, he started this program called Vipakshen Husma. So we managed to provide 70 million worth of hospital equipments, that is high oxygen flow machines, centralized oxygen supply equipments, and then ventilators and paramonitors, all these equipments for government hospitals. And then what we did, all parliamentarians representing SJB contributed our salary for the same fund to buy equipment for the hospital. So as parliamentarians in the opposition, we are doing our part. I mean, this is probably the first time in the history in the world that the opposition is contributing to the government hospitals in terms of buying all these equipments to help the people in our country.
Well, it's a good thing that the opposition members too are heeding the call of the president, who says that we should all be prepared for even further sacrifices. But I put it to you, would you support a move for all parliamentarians to take a zero pay, to have a zero pay packet in terms of their salary, so that they can donate this money towards the fight of this pandemic? Because obviously the country is running out of money and resources very fast. Would you support such a move?
Most certainly, Faraz, because we have already done that. As the opposition, as the SJB, we have done that. And we request the government members also to do the same. Only the cabinet ministers have said that they will contribute by donating their salary. What about their fuel? What about their houses that they have like around 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 electricity bill monthly being paid by the taxpayers of this country? So my suggestion is cut down all that, right? If you are asking the people of this country to pay their salary for the COVID fund, then all ministers, what they take from the people of this country, right? The taxpayers' money that they use for fuel, accommodation, electricity, all that, contribute that to the COVID fund. And all parliamentarians, 225. We are, as SJB has done that.
And Dr. Kavinda, how long should they contribute for? 1 month, 6 months, 1 year? How long?
See, that is a decision that the party leaders must take. We have no issue as SJB. We want to help the people. We are also struggling. We are also finding it difficult at this moment, because people are calling us saying that Mantrituma apita kanda naha, Mantrituma apita behet naha. This is the situation. Our people, our voters, people who have put their trust in us. So regardless whether we are in the government or in the opposition, we have to do our part. So we are doing our part. My leader, Honorable Sajith Premadasa, has taken the lead. He has taken the initiative. He has been an example to the rest of the parliament members and to the rest of the world. So we as followers of him, we follow his footsteps. We are committed to provide health facilities and provide health equipment to the government hospitals for the betterment of our countrymen and women.
And what do you say about vanity projects? What do you say about the vanity projects, or the so-called vanity projects, or projects that we can do without for the moment, like the development of the roads, for example? Somebody somewhere is trying to do mobile gyms, 590 gyms around the country. Do we need that? What's your take on these so-called vanity projects?
I think all those projects must stop. That's why I said now they are planning to start a project called a project worth of 2,000 million rupees just to develop cities, right? It's called Nagara Alankara Kirime Laistuak Tiyeno, right? This is not suitable and vital at this moment, right? We don't need gyms because we can't go to gyms. Right? We don't need walkways. We don't need pathways. We don't need carpet roads. Right? What we need is healthcare and food to eat. This is the situation that what we are facing. So I urge the government, stop all the unnecessary expenditures, stop all the corruption. Right? Provide the people of this country good healthcare and provide them with food. If now, all the farmers are suffering with this fertilizer issue. So we will have a shortage of food for us. That's the fear that we have, right? As politicians, we are scared for the future of our country. I am scared as a youth because my friends who are in the same age as me are losing hope in this country. They are saying, we want to leave this country because we don't see this country is going to go anywhere. You know, if that happens, if the youth lose hope in this country, what will happen to our country? You know, I'm scared of this situation. I'm scared because I have a family. I have a child. So I'm worried for the future of my child because for 2 years the children couldn't go to school. There's no proper strategy, proper plan to educate the children who's at home. Right? There's no contribution from the government. So I'm really worried what's happening to my country.
Now, I have with me this morning, it's arrived in the last hour or two, since the time before we started recording, the wholesale, the trade prices of vegetables from up country. We have cabbage. This is the wholesale price. It's generally, by the time it hits the supermarket, it's generally double. So the wholesale price of cabbage, for example, is 115 rupees a kilo. Leeks is 165, and potatoes is 210. Which means that by the time they get here or hit the cities or the retail stands, they're likely to be double. Leeks is 165 a kilo. So the prices are going up and up and up. For those restaurants who want to stock broccoli, goodness knows where they're going to sell it to, but the wholesale price is 1,600 rupees a kilo.
For us, I don't know why government is not intervening with this crisis. You know, that's why I said that we are going to have, most likely, I have the fear that we might have a food shortage. So I think that government have enough and more ministers in charge of agriculture, but they are not ready to accept the reality of the country. And this is why we are heading towards the disaster. So we have a health disaster, economical disaster, and if we step into a food disaster, I don't know, people might die of hunger also. So right now, we have to accept where we stand. That's why beginning of this conversation, I said, let's leave all our differences aside, right? How Israel did. Israel Prime Minister got the opposition and the government, the parliament together, and they fought against the pandemic. They are vaccinated, right? So we have to learn from other countries, right? If we don't do that, I think we are seriously heading to a disaster. Even a future government, even if SJB forms a government in the future, or any other party forms a government in the future, we will have to carry this baggage. So I request the government, please put your head together, work out a plan to manage this country economically, socially, health-wise, and food, because it's very important. For almost 8 months, we haven't had fertilizer. So it's natural, the price of vegetables and food to go up because the demand is there and the supply is limited. So this is the issue for us that we have been saying for last 8 months. Organic fruits and vegetables and food is good, but making that system is a long process. You can't overnight do that. So I don't know who is giving advices to this current government and the leaders of this government. I mean, the concern for me is Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Prime Minister. He's an experienced politician. I think he should step in and advise the cabinet how to face this crisis and work with the president. And I don't know, as the opposition, we are anytime ready to help the government to support the people of this country.
But when we see this, I should call him the national treasure, President Mahinda Rajapaksa, but when we see him now, we get this impression that the former president could do with retirement or taking a back seat rather than wheel him up in front for everything going. Don't you think it's time that the country at large expected less of Mahinda Rajapaksa given his physical condition?
I don't know what the country expected when they voted for vote to 6.9 million people. I don't know what their expectations were from Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Prime Minister. But what I'm trying to say, Faraz, now he is the Prime Minister. He can't be silent. He can't wash his hands off. He has to step in, right? So I, as a parliamentarian who have been in the parliament for last 7 years, with my experience, I think not only the president have the responsibility, the Prime Minister and the cabinet. If the cabinet thinks it's okay, you know, so and so is making decisions and we are not going to get ourselves involved, that's wrong. Every person in the cabinet is responsible for everything what's happening in this country. Lack of medicine, lack of food, increasing price of rice, vegetables, likewise, not solving the Easter Sunday attack, and lack of gas, lack of milk powder, right? I can go on and on and on and on and on about the vaccination and the corruption. Everyone is responsible. So I urge the government to step in as a united government and manage this crisis. And I repeat that as the opposition, we are here to help them to support the people of this country.
Dr. Kavinda Jayawardhana, thank you very much for your time on Newsline Zoom. We appreciate your commentary and your thought process too. And that's the way it was on Newsline Zoom this evening. Take care and have a great evening ahead of you. And as always, God bless you.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.